Now let me take you ahead and deal with something as EPS formula. Now someone may be wondering why an EPS formula? But yes, there may be a need for formulating equations, and in that equation you might have a need for an EPS formula. So please pay attention. How would you draft an EPS formula? My point is, you take EBIT minus interest and put that thing within brackets. EBIT minus interest within brackets. So within brackets, what will you get? EBIT minus interest is EBT, that is earnings before tax. Then we have learned one thing, that if tax rate is 30%, profit after tax will be 70% of profit before tax, correct? So how do we get that 70%? It is basically 1 minus 30%. When it is 1 minus 30%, the result is 70%. Some people might think that, sir, your mathematics is so bad, 1 minus 30 will give you minus 29. Dear, I am asking you to take 1 minus 30%. When I say 30%, it is 0.3. So 1 minus 0.3 would give you 0.7, which is basically 70%. So if tax rate is 30%, if I apply 70% on profit before tax, what I will get is profit after tax. So what I will do is, within one bracket, I'll write EBIT minus interest. So within that bracket, what I will get is EBT. Then in another bracket, I will take 1 minus tax rate. So 1 minus tax rate, if tax rate is 30%, 1 minus tax rate will give us 70%. That 70% when I multiply on earnings before tax, what I will get is profit after tax. From the amount of profit after tax, if I subtract preference dividend, what I will now get is earnings available to equity shareholders. Those earnings, when we divide by number of equity shares, we will get EPS. So can't you identify that using simple logics you can develop an EPS formula? So instead of mugging up an EPS formula, if you can logically follow this sequence of calculation, you will easily identify the EPS formula, and this is how you would be mentioning that. So EBIT minus interest multiplied by 1 minus T, T stands for tax rate, and from this whole thing, do you know what is appearing right now? EBIT minus interest is earnings before tax or profit before tax. To that, if you multiply 1 minus tax rate, you will be getting profit after tax. And from profit after tax, if you just subtract PD, PD stands for preference dividend in this formula. And what you will get then is earnings available to equity shareholders. If that divided by number of equity shares, you get the formula for EPS. So I don't want my students to mug up formulas. Try to understand and note it down, and once done, we shall move ahead. I am sure you have finished writing this whole thing. Now let us write up the next very important heading, that is financial indifference point and financial break-even point. Very important concepts, very important concepts. Write this heading and let me first give explanation on the same. Let me first explain you what is a financial indifference point. Now suppose there are two financing options, one where there is more of debt and less of equity, another one where there is less of debt and more of equity. And what is happening? You would find that at a particular given level of EBIT, that first plan is preferred, whereas at another level of EBIT, another plan is preferred. So your preference of the financing option can shift from plan 1 to plan 2 or vice versa. That means with EBIT changing, your preference may change. That means, suppose plan 1 is better at low EBIT, whereas plan 2 is better at high EBIT. So when you are shifting the level of EBIT from low to high, somewhere there will be a point where the two plans would appear to be indifferent, and that indifference is what we are talking about. So when you are comparing two different financing options and you find that at a certain level of EBIT, the EPS under both the plans is same, that means if you go with plan 1 or plan 2, it does not make any difference because both of them are resulting into same EPS. That is what we call as financial indifference point. So beta, when we are taking calculative examples, you will have much better understanding, and conceptually I'll explain that once again once we have taken up a calculative example. Now the second term written over here is basically about financial break-even point. Common sense if you apply, break-even means no profit, no loss. But in cost accounting subject, the kind of break-even that you compute in cost and management accounting, that is operating break-even. I repeat, that is operating break-even. And here the break-even that we are talking about is financial break-even. So if you could understand, we had been talking about two types of risk, operating risk and financial risk. Operating risk will be mainly dealing with operating break-even. So in operating break-even, the kind of break-even point that you learn in cost and management accounting paper, how many units you should sell to get no profit, no loss situation. Here we are not talking about operating break-even. Here no profit, no loss is meant for equity shareholders. When will the equity shareholders be at no profit, no loss? When EPS is 0. So financial break-even point indicates a position of no profit, no loss for equity shareholders. It is such a plan where EPS will be 0. So let me give you some notes on this and then we can proceed ahead. So please write up some important notes over here. I have explained you already, you just need to write it down. I am sure you have finished writing these notes. Time for us to move ahead and now take up a very important question, that is question number 10. Let me read this question first of all. An enterprise requires rupees 40 lakhs of capital and can raise this amount by following two options. First option is 10,000 equity shares of rupees 100 each, that is 10 lakhs, 10,000 9% preference shares of 100 each, that will be again another 10 lakhs, and 15% debentures, 20 lakhs. Second option is 40,000 equity shares of rupees 100 each, that will give you 40 lakhs, and tax rate is given as 40%. Now what you are required to do, first requirement, determine the best course of financing if the EBIT is rupees 10 lakhs, assuming that the objective of the company is to maximize EPS and hence to maximize the rate of return on equity shareholders funds. That means here you will have to take care of both the objectives. Both the components are mentioned over here as objectives. Second requirement, determine the best course of financing if EBIT is rupees 5,40,000, assuming that the objective of the company is to maximize EPS and hence to maximize the rate of return on equity shareholders funds. So basically requirement number 2 and requirement number 1 both are exactly same, only what is different is the level of EBIT. The third requirement in the question indicates determine the financial indifference point between the two options. It is the third requirement which is new for you, and as far as the first two are concerned, you have been dealing with calculations of EPS and rate of return on equity shareholders funds so many times already in the earlier questions and situations. You are not supposed to be dependent on me for that calculation. What I can do for you is I can show you a proper presentable format where you just put in the right figures, and I'll give you time to calculate. You should not be dependent on me, I told you. Now, when you present this whole thing into one single table, what you should do is you segregate the two situations, one where EBIT is 10 lakhs, one where EBIT is 5,40,000. Then what you do is, in each of these categories, you split that calculation into two options. There is financing option 1 and financing option 2. So it will be 10 lakhs of EBIT with option 1 and option 2, and then 5,40,000 of EBIT, option 1 and option 2. Let us see what is the findings that we have, and then we will deal with that third requirement of the question, where the question is asking you to find the financial indifference point between the two financing options. So I'm sure you are clear with the question's requirement. What I will do is just help you out with the presentation of your solution. So in terms of presenting your solution, this is what I want you to do. Make an exhaustive income statement covering up this whole process of calculation. EBIT minus interest, you get EBT, less tax at 40%, you will be getting profit after tax, less preference dividend, you get earnings available to equity shareholders, divided by number of shares, and you get EPS. Because the objective of the company is also to maximize the rate of return on equity shareholders funds, that also you calculate and mention over here as a percentage. Now I am giving you time. You are supposed to fill up this entire calculation table. Do it now. I am waiting for you. I am sure you all have attempted the calculations from your end. Let us first check whether you were correct with your calculations or not. So here now I am presenting the same table with all figures displayed over here on screen, getting started with EBIT, less interest at 15%. You can notice one thing, that interest is being considered only and only in option 1. So EBT, what we get, from that you subtract tax at 40%. The amount of tax obviously changes with the level of profits. We get profit after tax. From that you subtract preference dividend, which will happen only in option 1. What we get is earnings available to equity shareholders. Dividing it by number of equity shares, you will be getting EPS. And when you divide earnings available to equity shareholders by equity shareholders funds, which is 10 lakhs in case of option 1 and 40 lakhs in case of option 2, you will be getting that in terms of percentage, that is rate of return on equity shareholders funds. If you could see one thing, the issue price of the share was 100 in all cases. That is why the figures what you are finding in terms of EPS and the rate of return on equity shareholders funds in terms of percentage are matching values, because both have a common base of 100. However, in all cases it may not happen this way. We have seen that sometimes among different financing options the issue price of share can be different. That time the outcome of EPS and outcome of rate of return on equity shareholders funds may also get little different. I am sure all of you have completed writing this whole thing, and now let us conclude. I am sure you would have also concluded it exactly the same way. I don't have to explain this line of conclusion. I would just read it out for you. The best course of financing with EBIT as rupees 10 lakhs with the objective of company to maximize EPS and rate of return on equity shareholders funds will be option 1. So when it is 10 lakhs of EBIT, option 1 is to be preferred, and when it is 5,40,000 of EBIT, option 2 is to be preferred. So do one thing, write up this conclusion, and then I'll explain once again the role of financial indifference point and the calculation of the same, because that is required in the third part of the question. Alright friends, so after that you have finished writing this concluding point. Notice one thing, when your EBIT level is 10 lakhs, option 1 is appearing to be better. When your EBIT level is falling down to 5,40,000, it is option 2 which is better. If you can compare, at option 1, company is using financial leverage. At option 2, company is having no leverage at all. So option 2 is a safe option. Option 1 is little risky option. So when you have more income in hand, option 1 will be better. When you have less income in hand, option 2 is better. So there must be one level of EBIT when option 1 and option 2, they both will be appearing to be indifferent. And that is what we identify as financial indifference point. So you know, how do we calculate financial indifference point? We would want to make EPS of option 1 matching with EPS of option 2, and that is why we have learned how to compute EPS by using a formula, because we are going to make a mathematical equation to find a level of EBIT where EPS under option 1 and EPS under option 2 should be equal. So let us do that calculation, which is going to be very interesting calculation, and after this question done, I am going to assign you lots of calculations which are relating to financial indifference point. So let me just show you how to make that calculation. So please take the matter ahead. For indifference, EPS under both the plans must be same. So how do we find EPS? We have learnt it by formula, that is EBIT minus interest within a bracket. That will give you EBT. When that EBT is multiplied to 1 minus tax rate, it will result into profit after tax. You know the logic behind this already. From profit after tax, when you subtract preference dividend, you will be getting earnings available to equity shareholders in the numerator. When divided by number of equity shares, what you will get is EPS for option 1. You would want to equate that with EPS of option 2. So I have written on left hand side as well as right hand side EPS formulas. And now what I will do is, we would want to find a level of EBIT where EPS should be same. So EBIT will be a variable over here. We would say let EBIT be X. Now in the left hand side of equation where it is option 1, EBIT minus interest, I would write that as X minus 3 lakhs, because 3 lakhs is the interest in option 1. Then for the other bracket where it is 1 minus tax rate, I would write 1 minus 0.4, and then minus PD, PD standing for preference dividend, I would write minus 90,000 and dividing it by number of equity shares, which will be 10,000 shares. So this is how I will be getting the EPS for option 1. If I try finding EPS for option 2, EBIT minus interest will actually be X minus 0, correct? X minus 0 because there is no interest. 1 minus tax rate will still be 1 minus 0.4, but preference dividend again is 0 in the second option. So it will be X minus 0 into 1 minus 0.4 minus 0 again, and that whole thing divided by 40,000, because in option 2 we have 40,000 equity shares. Please don't rush up with the writing work. Copying quickly is not your objective. Understanding these calculations is your objective. So if you want to solve this equation, what you need to do is, in the left hand side if you focus, X minus 3 lakhs, and after that you have multiplied by 1 minus 0.4. So 1 minus 0.4 will be 0.6. So first multiply that 0.6 to X minus 3 lakhs, and what you will get is 0.6x minus 1,80,000 and minus 90,000 as it is. The 10,000 appearing in the denominator of the left hand side, we will cross multiply and shift it as a numerator on right hand side. At right hand side 40,000 was already in denominator. Now 10,000 goes into the numerator of right hand side, and that will be multiplied to whatever value you had written over there. So within brackets in the right hand side it is x minus 0, so x minus 0 will be x. If you don't believe me, you can check in your calculator, x minus 0 will be x. Then you have to multiply to that 1 minus 0.4, which will be 0.6, and that will be giving you simply 0.6x. Now if you solve this equation, you will be getting the value of x. So how would you solve this equation? 0.6x minus 1,80,000 and again minus 90,000. So when you open the brackets in the left hand side, you will be getting 0.6x minus 2,70,000, correct? And over here 10,000 by 40,000 is basically 1 by 4 multiplied to 0.6x will actually give you 0.15x. Solving it further, from 0.6x you subtract 0.5x, from 0.6x you subtract 0.15x, and you bring this minus 2,70,000 in the right hand side, you will be getting 0.45x equal to 2,70,000, and then you can comfortably find the value of x. X will be 6 lakhs. Let us conclude something and discuss something very, very important. One student of mine once asked a doubt that, sir, in this scenario, what would happen if the tax rates are changing? I was impressed and I told my student that carefully note down the answer that I am giving for your doubt. If the tax rate is changing, in certain scenarios it will not create any impact on your indifference point calculation, whereas in certain other scenarios it will impact. So how do we distinguish the two possibilities? Possibility 1, preference share does not exist in the given case. Suppose in that case change of tax rate will not impact your calculation, guaranteed. But if you look into this particular example that we are handling, if you change the tax rate, the calculations will change because of presence of preference share and resulting presence of preference dividend. So of course when tax rate changes, it will create impact on calculations only and only when the preference share is present. If preference shares are not involved in the given case, change of tax rate will not affect your calculation ever. So I am sure you are clear with this point. Second important point that I would want to conclude is, here 6 lakhs is your answer for the missing value of x. What does that imply? How do we draw conclusion from that? You take 6 lakhs as EBIT. I repeat, you take 6 lakhs as EBIT and make up a comparative income statement for the two financing options and work out the rate of return on equity shareholders funds as well as EPS and see whether you are getting that indifference or not. So you will be getting indifference only and only when you are getting same EPS. Indifference means there is no difference, that means the EPS has to be same. Now one thing, again as a precautionary note, I will show you how to verify this kind of answer, but what I also want you to understand is that verification should not be part of your solution. If a question is asking you to show verification, then only show that, otherwise it is not part of your solution, it is only meant for your clear understanding. So I am showing you how to present that verification, please take note of that as well. When you are making an income statement at indifference, do you know what you will do? The EBIT which you obtained as an indifference point, that is rupees 6 lakhs, you consider 6 lakhs of EBIT under both the options and then start making up your income statement in the usual manner. So that will be EBIT minus interest. Can you notice interest we have deducted only in option 1. Now From the EBT values, you are obviously going to subtract tax, after which you will be getting profit after tax. Again, there is presence of preference shares in option 1, so we will subtract preference dividend from option 1, and what will be obtained is earnings available to equity shareholders, which is 90,000 and 3,60,000. However, the number of equity shares are also different under the two options, 10,000 shares and 40,000 shares. If you try to calculate EPS, you check and see, you will be getting exactly same EPS. In fact, because we started computing indifference point with equating the EPS of both the financing options, it was known from the beginning that EPS will be same, but here we have mentioned it by calculation also. This verification you need not write in exam as a part of your solution. This should be written only if the question is specifically demanding this verification. And in the last line, what I have shown is rate of return on equity shareholders funds. Here EPS is 9 and 9, and the return on equity shareholders fund is also 9% and 9%. This is because the issue price of the share itself is rupees 100. So please take note of this whole thing, and then we shall move ahead.